So let's just get into the crazy world that we live here in Los Angeles, where the early front runner for governor is Caitlyn Jenner. And let's just watch her ad.
Famed Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner is now entering a new race for the governor of California.
I've always been a dreamer. California was once the envy of the world. We had what everyone else wanted. The American dream grew up here. Yet career politicians and their policies have destroyed that dream. It's been locked away, closed, shuttered, left in the dark, burned down. The government is now involved in every part of our lives. They've taken our money, our jobs, and our freedom. California needs a disruptor, a compassionate disruptor. I came here with a dream 48 years ago to be the greatest athlete in the world. Now I enter a different kind of race, arguably my most important one yet, to save California. I want to carry the torch for the parents who had to balance work and their child's education, for business owners who were forced to shut down, for pastors who were not able to be with their congregation, for the family who lost their home in a fire, for an entire generation of students who lost a year of education. This past year has redefined our career politicians as elitists, and the people of California as the warriors, the kings, and the angels. We never take kindly to glass ceilings here. Instead, we shatter them.
This one's way out there.
We're the trailblazers, the innovators. California is facing big hurdles. Now, we need leaders who are unafraid to leap to new heights.
He does not want to finish second in this race. He wants the world record.
Who are unafraid to challenge and to change the status quo.
I want to prove that it is absolutely possible if we only do it together.
California, it's time to reopen our schools, reopen our businesses, reopen the Golden Gates. So I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, I'm running to be governor for all Californians. To reclaim our true identity, to bring back the gold to the Golden State.
What a tremendous victory.
Now is the time to achieve that summit, to be the shining city on the hill, and together we'll restore and renew the California dream.
Jenner is driving.
It's about what happens from here. It's not just about one person. It's about all of us.
So there's a couple things that's really fascinating about that ad. One is, let's put aside Caitlyn Jenner's sexuality for a minute. One is that ad effectively could have been called, Make California Great Again. For those of you that aren't familiar, Caitlyn Jenner, previously Bruce Jenner, transvestite female is what I would say, Chris, right? Because he transitioned to a she? Transgender female. That's okay. Transgender female, Caitlyn Jenner, previously Bruce Jenner, is running an ad and running kind of a callback to more, I would say, somewhat conservative values in California. Mentioned being able to go to church, mentioned a lot of pro-business stuff, mentioned how the supermajority of Democrats in our state assembly and our state legislature, our state senatorial group, I forget what they're called. There too. We also have a similar is it called bicameral? Is that what it is when you have a senator and a legislator? I think so. Anyway, we have two houses in our state legislature, very similar to the federal government. And the Democrats have had a supermajority for at least a decade, and they've had a majority for a couple decades now. And they currently have the trifecta, which is they have the governorship, the state legislature, and the state senate. And, Caitlyn's basically poking fun of all that. That's saying, hey, it's a real problem. Democrats have had their way for 10, 20, almost 30 years now, with a couple caveats in there of Republican governors. And it's a real problem. Like, the state is much, much much, much, much worse off than it was 10 years ago. Deficits are higher, homelessness is higher, crime is higher, overall tax revenue is down. There's been an exodus of wealthy people from the state. There's a real problem. And so it's kind of crazy to me, the juxtaposition of a transgender female running on a more conservative message in the most socially liberal state in the union in California. Like, the whole thing is just kind of blowing my mind. And my hope is that this is not some type of just publicity stunt by Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, Caitlyn Jenner in his youth was Bruce Jenner, and the most fit person in the world, won the decathlon in the Olympics, went on to be successful businessman, went on to be part of the Kardashian families, which I don't know if that's a net positive or net negative, and then, came to feel that he was more at home as a she and transitioned, and now has a really good shot at being the first transgender governor. And for those of you that aren't in California, the way that this works is Gavin Newsom is fucked up so bad that the state of California collected 2 million signatures. And there's this weird percentage of total voters from the last election. So it ended up being like 1,423,000 voters had to sign saying that they were interested in a recall. So we will have a special election coming up here in a few months where there will be a recall. So I will go into vote, and the first thing on the ballot will say, do you or do you not want to recall Governor Newsom? Chances are enough people will say yes, they want to recall Governor Newsom. And then below that, it will say, okay, here's the 100 people you can vote for governor, because it takes about $4,000 and a couple thousand signatures to get on the ticket as a governor in a gubernatorial election in Los Angeles or in California. So there will be, there'll be some porn stars on there. There'll be some legitimate politicians. There'll be some businessmen and women. But so far, the one getting the most buzz is Caitlyn Jenner. And so Gavin Newsom will probably be recalled and thrown out of his governor's mansion. And then we will have the chance to vote for the next governor. So it should be a wild ride here over the next couple months. And, I like what I saw in this ad. So, again, I hope this isn't just some type of publicity stunt by the Jenner / Kardashian media monster that has become what they are. And, we'll see how it goes. But I think there's a big challenge coming in California for establishment Democrats because, I looked up some of these numbers, and let's go through these real quick. So here is the current California State Assembly. That's kind of like our House of Representatives, or in the federal government version. Yeah. So here we go. California State Assembly is the lower chamber of the California State Legislature. So state legislature is separated into the Assembly and the Senate. And you can see here party control in California. Democrats have 58 members of the state legislature, and there's 19 Republicans, 1 independent, 2 current vacancies. I think those vacancies are there actually because these 2 people took cabinet positions in the Biden administration. I think that's why we have vacancies. So there would actually be 60 Democrats, 19 Republicans, and 1 independent, which means clearly, because we have a very similar state constitution to the federal constitution, Democrats have a supermajority in the legislature and also in the Senate. So if you go to the Senate, the California State Senate, Democratic Party has 31 seats, Republicans have 9, so the Democrats have a supermajority there, and they have the current governorship. So anything that Democrats want to pass in California gets passed because they have a supermajority. There is no opposition force that can stop them. And what we've seen, I think this even breaks it down here, how long Democrats have controlled the state Senate going back to 1992 or further. This is as far back as this goes. And they've had a supermajority since 2012-ish. Same with the legislature. Democrats have controlled since 1996 election, and they've had a supermajority since about, 2012, 2014. So there's nothing anybody in the state of California can do to stop any, left-leaning policy proposed at the state level. And I don't think it's a big surprise when you have supermajority, one state rule for, depending on how you look at this, somewhere between 8 years and, going on 25 years of control of the state legislature and the state Senate. It's a real problem, right? Because you have no checks and balances in the state. And you can look around and you can just see the absolute waste of money in our homelessness policy, in our social help policies. It's just more and more taxation, more and more spending with fewer and fewer results. And you can go down the list. I've got a laundry list of stuff, whether it's on the educational front, the homeless front, the infrastructure front. It's just we are paying now as Californians the highest combined taxes when you combine property tax, sales tax, income tax. California pays the most to get some of the least and just have massive, massive ongoing problems as we're alienating the people in the state that makes the most money. And so the tax base, forget about the tax rate, but the actual tax base is going down. So who knows? Maybe Caitlyn Jenner, with her crazy life story and maybe the ability to attract some Democratic votes and some people from the left due to her intersectionality of where she falls on, trans, gay, social status, black, white, all the things that we hear about endlessly now in the media. Maybe she checks enough of those boxes on the social front to garner some votes for them left. And if she has a more centrist or conservative message, maybe she gets the votes on the right, because contrary to popular belief, I know a lot of Republicans and a lot of libertarians in California, and none of them actually give a shit if you're gay or you're trans or you're black or you're pro-life, pro-choice, or you're a midget. Like, people here are much more accepting than I think the media would have you believe. So I think if her message is a little bit more on point, centered, and conservative, she can pick up those votes. And I think she can get, because of her name recognition, another important group of votes. And because she would be the first transgender individual, woman, sorry, I'm going to get this wrong, first transgender woman to serve in a major office. Maybe she's gonna bring it home, make the state better. I hope she is, because the current trajectory of the state of California is a real shit show. So we'll see how that goes, and more to follow. I'm acquaintances, I wouldn't say friends, I'm acquaintances with Dave Rubin, and I know he's been trying hard to get Caitlyn on his podcast, so maybe she'll sit down with him for an hour or two and kind of give her ideas and directions for the state. That would be awesome.